In a world increasingly disillusioned by the failures of conventional leadership, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 37-year-old interim president of Burkina Faso, has ignited a fire of inspiration that burns brightly from the streets of Ouagadougou to the urban centers of the United States. His revolutionary approach to governance, unapologetic anti-imperialist stance, and tangible achievements in transforming Burkina Faso have captured the imagination of millions, including, astonishingly, white Americans who are now rallying behind his name, holding his image aloft in protests, and demanding that their leaders emulate his model of selfless, people-centered leadership. This is no longer just an African story, it is a global movement, a testament to the universal appeal of a leader who dares to prioritize sovereignty, dignity, and progress over subservience to foreign powers. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's rise to prominence is a phenomenon unlike any other in modern African history. No African leader in recent memory has commanded such widespread admiration, not only from Africans in the black diaspora, but also from communities as far removed as white Americans. These rallies, though small, signal a seismic shift, a recognition that Traoré's leadership, rooted in anti-imperialism, self-reliance, and genuine care for his people, offers a blueprint for governance that resonates universally. Social media platforms like X are abuzz with posts from Americans, both black and white, praising Traoré's courage in standing up to Western powers and his commitment to transforming Burkina Faso into a self-sufficient nation. One X post from a white American activist in Seattle read, "Captain Traoré is showing the world what leadership looks like. Our politicians could learn a thing or two from him. Time to visit Burkina Faso and see real change in action." This global admiration stems from Traoré's unyielding commitment to dismantling the shackles of neocolonialism and his tangible achievements in a short time. Since seizing power in a coup in September 2022, Traoré has positioned himself as a modern-day Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary icon from the 1980s. His policies, nationalizing mineral resources, rejecting Western financial aid, and forging alliances with non-Western powers like Russia, have struck a chord with those who see the global order as exploitative and unjust. His message of sovereignty and self-reliance resonates with people worldwide who are disillusioned with leaders beholden to corporate interests or foreign agendas. As one Burkinabe analyst, Alidou Warem, aptly described it, Traoré's appeal is algorithmic populism, emotional, visual, anti-Western, and hyper-shareable. A defining moment in Traoré's global rise came in April 2025, when U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, head General Michael Langley accused him of misusing Burkina Faso's gold reserves for personal gain, implying that Traoré was trading the nation's wealth for Russian protection. The accusation, widely perceived as a smear campaign to undermine Traoré's legitimacy, backfired spectacularly. Instead of weakening him, it galvanized Africans and their allies across the world to rally in his defense. On April 30, 2025, tens of thousands poured into the streets of Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital, in a massive show of support for their leader. Protesters carried placards reading, "Hands off Traoré," and "No to imperialist lies." Musician Oshibi Yoham captured the sentiment, telling the Associated Press, "Because Colin Powell lied, Iraq was destroyed. Barack Obama lied, Gaddafi was killed. But this time, their lies won't affect us." The solidarity was not confined to Burkina Faso. In Accra, Ghana, and Monrovia, Liberia, thousands joined protests organized by grassroots movements like the socialist movement Akhana, denouncing foreign interference and celebrating Traoré's defiance. In London, African diaspora communities held rallies, while in Montego Bay, Jamaica, supporters waved Burkina Faso's flag alongside Traoré's image. Even in Nigeria, where two demonstrators were charged with inciting public disturbance for organizing a pro-Traoré procession, the fervor was undeniable. Social media amplified this movement, with AI-generated images, some depicting fictional protests in Nairobi, Harare, and New York's Times Square, further fueling the global buzz around Traoré. While some of these images were not real, they reflected the emotional intensity of his support base. No African leader in recent history has inspired such a coordinated continent-wide defense, not since the days of Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, or Thomas Sankara. Has an African figure commanded such loyalty, transcending national borders and uniting people against a perceived common enemy, Western imperialism? The Langley controversy highlighted Traoré's unique ability to galvanize not just Burkinabe but Africans globally, who see in him a leader willing to confront the powers that have historically plundered the continent's resources. Traoré's popularity and his bold reforms have come at a steep cost. Since taking power, he has faced multiple coup and assassination attempts, with over 20 reported plots against his life, some allegedly orchestrated by Western powers like the U.S. and Britain. The most recent, uncovered in April 2025, involved current and former soldiers collaborating with terrorist leaders from Côte d'Ivoire, aiming to sow total chaos and place Burkina Faso under international supervision. A plot, which targeted the presidential palace, was forged through intercepted communications, underscoring the constant threats Traoré faces for challenging the global status quo. These attempts are not merely internal power struggles, but are widely seen as efforts by imperialist forces to eliminate a leader who threatens their control over Africa's resources. Traoré's accusation that Western powers use terrorism as a tool to destabilize resource-rich nations like Burkina Faso resonates deeply. In a speech at the 2024 Alliance of Sahel States (AES) summit, he declared, "We are victims of our wealth that the imperialists want to take back at any cost to keep us in slavery." His alignment with Russia and Turkey, coupled with his expulsion of French troops in February 2023, has made him a target for those who fear his vision of a sovereign Africa could inspire others. When Traoré assumed power in 2022, Burkina Faso was grappling with a jihadist insurgency that had claimed thousands of lives, displaced over 2 million people, and left the state in control of only about 60% of its territory. Traoré made security his top priority, launching massive recruitment campaigns for the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland (VDP), a civilian militia that collaborates with the military to combat insurgents. Under his leadership, the VDP's role has been elevated, becoming a cornerstone of Burkina Faso's national defense strategy. Traoré revealed a stark reality: Western powers, particularly France, had denied Burkina Faso access to critical military equipment needed to fight terrorism. In a 2025 interview, Traoré stated, "The terrorism we are witnessing today comes from imperialism and we are fighting it." He accused Western nations of withholding advanced weaponry to keep Burkina Faso dependent and vulnerable. To counter this, Traoré forged partnerships with Russia and Turkey, securing military hardware that the Burkinabe army had never previously accessed. Reports indicate that Russian paramilitary brigades and Turkish equipment have bolstered Burkina Faso's capabilities, enabling more effective counterinsurgency operations. The results are tangible. While the insurgency persists, Traoré's reforms have reduced terrorist attacks in key areas, with the military reclaiming some rebel-held territories. In April 2023, Traoré declared a general mobilization to support the armed forces, pledging to reconquer all insurgent-controlled areas without negotiation until the threat is significantly weakened. This resolute stance has earned him admiration among Burkinabe, who see him as a leader willing to confront both internal and external enemies head-on. One of Traoré's most visible achievements is his ambitious infrastructure program, particularly the construction and upgrading of roads across Burkina Faso. For a nation long plagued by poor connectivity, these projects are transformative. Traoré's government is building new roads, widening existing ones, and upgrading gravel paths to paved surfaces, improving access to markets, schools, and healthcare facilities. The Ouagadougou-Doncine Airport, set to open in 2025 with a capacity to handle 1 million passengers annually, is another flagship project symbolizing Burkina Faso's push for modernization. The impact of these roads is best illustrated through the story of Amadou Diallo, a 42-year-old farmer from the village of Koudougou. For years, Amadou struggled to transport his millet and sorghum to markets in Ouagadougou, relying on a treacherous, unpaved road that became impassable during the rainy season. Before Captain Traoré, it took me 2 days to get my crops to the city, and half would spoil, he says. Now, with the new paved road, I can make the trip in 4 hours, and my produce arrives fresh. I've doubled my income, and my children can go to school regularly because the road is safe. Amadou's story is what traders and students benefit from improved connectivity, breathing new life into rural communities. Traoré's reforms extend to Burkina Faso's healthcare system, which he identified as a critical area of crisis upon taking power. His government has invested heavily in purchasing modern hospital equipment, upgrading facilities, and reducing medical bills to make healthcare accessible to all. These efforts are part of Traoré's broader vision to address the humanitarian crisis exacerbated by years of insurgency and neglect, which left thousands of health facilities closed in rebel-controlled areas. A powerful example is the story of Fatimata Ouedraogo, a 29-year-old mother of 3 from Bobo Dioulasso. Last year, Fatimata faced a life-threatening complication during childbirth. In the past, the local hospital lacked the equipment to perform emergency surgeries, and high costs would have forced her family into debt. Thanks to Captain Traoré's reforms, the hospital had new machines, and my surgery cost almost nothing, she recounts. I'm alive today because of him, and my baby is healthy. I pray for his safety every day. Fatimata's gratitude reflects the sentiment of many Burkinabés who see Traoré's healthcare initiatives as a lifeline for the poor. Perhaps Traoré's most ambitious endeavor is his agricultural offensive, aimed at achieving food self-sufficiency and reducing reliance on foreign aid. His government has supplied farmers with tractors, fertilizers, and improved seeds, leading to significant increases in agricultural output. In 2023, Burkina Faso received a wheat donation from Russia to feed displaced populations, but Traoré vowed to end such dependence. We made a promise to President Putin that we no longer wish to get supplied with wheat because we are going to produce the wheat, he said in a 2025 interview. True to his word, Burkina Faso has ramped up wheat production, with early reports indicating sufficient yields to meet local demand. Traoré's agricultural reforms also include the establishment of processing plants, such as the Fasakosam dairy factory and tomato processing facilities, to add value to local produce. His government has nationalized rural land to prevent foreign land grabbing and speculation, ensuring that Burkinabé farmers retain control over their resources. The National Support Center for Artisanal Cotton Processing further supports local industries, creating jobs and boosting the economy. These measures have contributed to consistent GDP growth of 4–6%, lifting millions out of poverty and instilling hope in a nation long plagued by food insecurity. Traoré's boldest economic reforms center on Burkina Faso's mineral wealth, particularly its gold reserves. He has nationalized 2 gold mines, established a state-owned mining company, and required foreign firms to cede a 15% stake in their operations while transferring skills to Burkinabé workers. In a historic move, Traoré stopped exporting unrefined gold to Europe, inaugurating a national gold refinery capable of processing 150 tons annually. For the first time, Burkina Faso is building national gold reserves, a move Traoré defended against U.S. accusations of misuse, stating, "Burkina Faso has accumulated gold reserves in its treasury for the first time." These policies have rattled Western mining companies, with firms like Australia's Sarama Resources launching arbitration proceedings after losing exploration licenses. Yet, they have empowered Burkinabé citizens who see Traoré as a leader, reclaiming their country's wealth from foreign exploitation. Traoré's reforms have not gone unnoticed by his people. In Burkina Faso, citizens have repeatedly taken to the streets to defend him against coup attempts and foreign criticism. The April 2025 rally in Ouagadougou, sparked by General Langley's accusations, saw tens of thousands chanting, "Traoré is our leader," and "No to imperialism." Similar demonstrations have occurred after each reported coup attempt, with Burkinabé citizens forming human shields around key government buildings to protect their president. These displays of loyalty reflect Traoré's deep connection with his people, who view him as a defender of their dignity and aspirations. Traoré's decision to forego the presidential salary, opting instead for his modest captain's earnings, has further endeared him to the public. His populist measures, such as reducing ministerial salaries by 30% and increasing civil servant wages by 50%, have cemented his image as a leader who prioritizes the masses over the elite. symbolic acts, like replacing colonial-era legal attire with traditional Burkinabe fabrics and renaming Ouagadougou's Boulevard Général Charles de Gaulle to Boulevard Thomas Sankara, resonate with a population hungry for pride and identity. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's rise is a testament to the power of visionary leadership in a world weary of exploitation and empty promises. His ability to inspire not only Africans, but people worldwide, including white Americans who see in him a model of integrity, marks him as a singular figure in global politics. No African leader has ever commanded such widespread cross-continental support, from the streets of Ouagadougou to the digital spaces of X, where his name trends alongside calls for sovereignty and self-reliance. Yet, his path is fraught with danger. The assassination attempts, fueled by his defiance of Western powers and his alignment with Russia, underscore the high stakes of his revolution. By equipping his army, building roads, transforming healthcare, and revolutionizing agriculture, Traoré is proving that Africa can chart its own course. The stories of Amadou Diallo and Fatimata Ouedraogo are but glimpses of the hope he has ignited in Burkina Faso as he continues to nationalize resources, reject foreign aid, and inspire a generation. Traoré stands as a symbol of what leadership should be, not just for Africa, but for the world. In Burkina Faso, this impoverished African country, they have such a government right now. They got a builder, a man who believes that human beings are the source of real wealth in the world, that is investing in his people, and they are raising up the population, raising up the life expectancy, raising up the living standard, raising up education, raising up healthcare, raising up access to a decent life. Both the government we need here, a government of action, the fight for working family.